Hello, Tim.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Good. One of your viewers, Vivian Lizzie, has asked about dispensations. Can you explain?
Yeah, dispensation, I had a video before where I gave a kind of a abbreviated explanation of a dispensation. And what it really means is a time period where there's certain conditions that are evident that permit certain activities to take effect, of which God acknowledges. For an example, Adam, prior to the fall, he was innocent, and so he had not fallen yet. Yeah, he's in a state of innocence, and that's described as a dispensation of innocence. After the fall of Adam, however, the conditions change, and so God ended up covering Adam with animal skins, which implies that some death took effect and blood had to be shed. This is re-emphasized, those conditions are re-emphasized when Abel goes to offer unto God a more excellent sacrifice, and he offers a sacrifice, and it's accepted by God. So this is establishing an order, an oral tradition handed down from Adam, and now we have a conscience, as Romans chapter 2, verses 14 and 15 alludes to. We have a conscience now that bears witness to the law of God, which is written in our hearts, which either accuses us and or excuses us of good and or of evil. And so Abel was sensitive to that consciousness that he had toward God's law that was written in his heart, and offered sacrifice. We see this reiterated in Noah, in that Noah offered sacrifice, and he made provision in retrieving the animals in the ark for sacrifice by having 7 of the beasts that were clean, that would give grace for sacrifice and for sustenance. Outside of that, Paul says in the book of Romans that the law was given by Moses. We don't have the written law given, obviously, until Moses comes, but the law previously had been written in our hearts. When the law of Moses is given and qualified and detailed, certain components of that law are now added. Cardinal ordinances are added. There's dietary law that's added. There are things that are added to this law that expand upon what preceded, though there is some suggestion based on first mentioning, even in time of Abel and Adam and Noah, of some patterns that were even re-implemented when Moses actually wrote the law and we had it in written form. Well, the law was given by Moses, as the scriptures state, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. So when we have the New Testament, we obviously now in this day and age don't go down to Jerusalem and offer sacrifice anymore. So the law as it stands in relationship to the church age is not applicable. That testament is old. Okay, we still recognize God's holiness and righteousness as expressed in the law. We revere the law in terms of how it conveys God's holiness, but obviously as human beings, we're never going to measure up, as Paul says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So we're never going to measure up. And the law, as Paul states, was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ that we might be justified by faith. So we enter into a new dispensation, a new covenant based upon better promises, as the Hebrew writer testifies. And now we're not subject, as Paul says, to touch not, taste not, handle not. In the book of Colossians, chapter 2, he touches on that. And those carnal ordinances that were imposed, we're not subject unto in terms of demands to retain our stand or position before God as being justified. We're justified by the blood of Jesus Christ. Now what will happen is, as Paul says in Romans chapter 11, verses 25 and 26, is that blindness in part has happened unto Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. Now, in a collective sense, the nation and people of Israel had removed themselves from, in a collective sense, from grace because they didn't embrace the resurrected Messiah or Jesus Christ. So Daniel prophesies of 70 weeks determined upon the nation and people of Israel, and on the 69th week, Christ the Messiah was crucified, And so now there's a 7-year time period that's awaiting for the nation and people of Israel in preparation for the literal second coming of Christ, where he assumes a place as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. When the church ages come to a close and we enter the day of Christ, or our gathering together unto him, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, all those things are culminated, and the Gentiles' collective age of grace is brought to a close. What that means is that we will enter a new era, or a new time, where there's different conditions in preparation for the second advent. So the scriptures testify in the book of Revelation chapter 14 that there's going to be an everlasting gospel, and that there's going to be a man of sin, the son of perdition, as expressed in 2 Thessalonians, who calls himself above God, and he claims that he is God. He sits in the temple of God. When there's enforced worship that will take effect during that timeline, where a person cannot buy, sell, or trade save he have the mark of the beast or the number of his name. At that point in time, the collective Gentile body of people, or the church age, will be removed. We won't be here anymore. There'll be tribulation saints that will have to adhere to the order that's established for them during that tribulation time period. They can't take the mark of the beast. They can't take the number of his name. They can't buy, sell, or trade unless they do that. So they're under the earth is going to open up and help the Jew who will be persecuted by the man of sin, the son of perdition. That will all culminate at the literal second advent, when Christ comes as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. When we enter into that era, we enter a new dispensation, a new era where Christ reigns. And then he'll reign for that 1,000-year period. And at the end of that 1,000-year period, Christ will permit the Gog and Magog to rear its ugly head and to revolt under God. In which case, then, as Peter writes there, 2 Peter chapter 3, there's going to be fire and brimstone will be brought down out of heaven, and heaven and earth shall pass away as you and I know it now, and we'll enter into a new era where there's going to be a judgment at the great white throne judgment. At that great white throne judgment, if your name is not written in the Lamb's book of life, slain from before the foundation of the world, you will be removed eternally into the lake of fire, as expressed by Revelation chapter 20, verses 11 and 15. And then we finally enter in the final domain. The final domain will be the new heavens and the new earth wherein dwells righteousness, where there's nothing that's going to defile that domain. Only they that are written in the Lamb's book of life will be permitted to enter into that domain. Now, I went through this very, very quickly, but it gives us a bit of a synopsis on the overview through time, stemming from Adam right through to the new heavens and the new earth, that there are different conditions that are evident for each age, and I have to consider that when I'm doing my scriptures and my study, that I don't apply Old Testament teaching to me in the church age, and that I don't apply tribulational saint information in the book of James, the book of Revelation, sections of the latter part of the book of the Gospels, in anticipation for the literal second advent. So there's more to be said on the subject. I want to give a brief overview. We'll spend a little bit more time and try to break it down a little more concisely, but I just want to give you a bit of an overview here tonight, and hopefully we can take it a step further and put some notes also on the video. So I thank you for your time, and you have yourself a good night.